Well, hello, beautiful souls. What if you could soothe your inner critic so that you could hear your inner wisdom, so that you could manifest the life of your dreams? Today, we're going to be talking about how the inner critic can sabotage your manifesting, the law of attraction, and so much more with my soul sister, Karen Shier. Karen is a midlife transformation guide, desire factor, and law of attraction life coach, energy master, and best-selling author that guides women in releasing what no longer lights them up so they can joyfully thrive in the second half of life. She's passionate, as you're about to discover, about supporting women in moving from feeling stuck, stressed, and unhappy to feeling free, empowered, and ready to co-create a marvelous life. And that's within reach for every one of us. So welcome, Karen.
Oh, thank you, Linda. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I love the work that you're doing with the inner critic, right? And you and I have had a lot of personal conversations. I'm like, oh my God, I have one of those. I call her Negative Nelly. So with the law of attraction, why don't we start with how you define law of attraction and why it's so important to understand it, because we're always working with the energies, right? No matter what.
We are. You know, the law of attraction is probably one of the most, it's a universal law of nature, and probably the most widely known, I would say. And so law of attraction, it works whether you know about it or not. And that's why it's imperative to know about it. The law of attraction is kind of like it sounds. You know, I attract into my life whatever I give my attention to, my energy to, whatever I focus on, whether it's positive or negative, will attract those things into your life, positive or negative. So let's focus on the positive stuff we want and learn how to work with this law to bring it in to our best and highest good.
And I think it's so powerful because for years, like we always hear the phrase law of attraction, right? Ever since the movie The Secret. But I'm one of those that I love reading the classics, right? And we all hear that phrase, but I've been doing research, as I know you have. Law of attraction goes back thousands of years. It's in every religious doctrine. It's like a Florence Scovel Shinn. It's a universal energy. And we need as many teachers as possible to talk about this so that everyone knows they can use it to define their lives instead of letting it unconsciously create their lives. And that's what you do a lot of your work with clients is, let's work with this to help you consciously create your life instead of being on autopilot.
Absolutely. I'm glad you bring that up because, you know, it's a lot of people may think, oh, it's just this new age woo-woo magic, but it really isn't. It's since the beginning of time. It's like gravity. You know, we know what gravity is when we fall on our bum. It becomes really, really apparent at that moment. Law of attraction is much the same way. Whether we know about it or not, it's working for or against us. So it's really imperative to become aware of this law and learn how to consciously work with it so that we get the things we want in our life.
And I love that too, because you and I are such kindred spirits. We both believe that we have the power to consciously create our life. And we know that because we've used the tools, right, to consciously create our own lives. So, you know, I know you're a master law of attraction life coach, desire factor coach. So one of the things I want to talk about is we all have inner wisdom. And many of us have an inner critic. We may call it different things. I call mine Negative Nelly. I don't know why that name came like 20 years ago. So let's talk about that because each one relates to the law of attraction, doesn't it? You're either following the inner wisdom or you're following the inner critic, and that's the direction. So let's talk about how your inner wisdom interacts with the law of attraction.
Okay, right. I sure will. So your inner wisdom, your heart, your intuition, kind of use those things interchangeably. But those are all your connection to your source and whoever or whatever that source may be, whether it's, you know, God, Goddess, Buddha, whomever, universe, whomever you are, your source is. And it's listening to, when you use your intuition, you're listening to and taking inspired actions. It speeds up the attracting process to you. And that's what's so neat about it. We're not pushing against it when we're listening to and taking inspired actions on our intuition, those little whispers that we get. You know, if we can sit down and have a conversation with our inner wisdom, our intuition, if we can let those little thoughts come through, and we can start to uncover our personal, false beliefs, those stories we tell. We can start to uncover those patterns that we have, those patterns that we've had from childhood and that we've learned growing up. And then it's from that place of awareness that we can choose to take inspired actions on new thoughts, new patterns, new beliefs. You know, if one of the things I like to ask is when something comes up for me, a belief or a thought that just doesn't feel good, I like to ask myself, is that true for me today? Is that my truth now? And if it's not, I get curious about it, and I kind of play with it a little bit and kind of dissect, where'd that come from? And is that true for me now? And if it's not, I can change that belief. I can choose not to follow that pattern or have that belief or allow that word or that phrase in my vocabulary anymore. I just choose a different way and a different path, and that automatically increases my energetic frequency when I do that.
And what I'm hearing too is it's the awareness of where your energy is, right? Because when we have patterns, and you and I you've written for Aspire magazine, so I'm really tuned into your content and your messaging. When we become aware of a thought or pattern, that's our PowerPoint, right? That's that moment we get to choose something else or stay in that autopilot energy. So I love that you said that, because a lot of people go, well, it's so hard to change your pattern. I go, no, the moment you're aware. So let's talk about that for a moment. In that moment of awareness, do they feel an energy? Like, I know I do, but I want to ask you, there's an energy we feel when we're out of alignment with our truth. Could come across as anxiety, fear, constriction. What are some of the ways someone knows that they're out of alignment with their truth? Like, are there ways that you notice it in your body or your clients do?
Yeah, I love that you use the word constriction, because a lot of times when we're out of alignment with who we are, with what our truth is, first of all, we're not feeling good. We're in a state of lack, and lack can be many things. It can be anxiety. It can be all those lower level emotions that don't feel good. And so, I think what happens is, you get maybe feelings of not enoughness, or the self-worthiness doesn't feel like it's there, or you find yourself in judgment or worry or self-doubt or anxiety. Those are the things when that you're kind of, that little inner critic is the one that's chirping in your ear, because you're just not feeling good. Maybe you procrastinate and just don't want to get certain things done, or you don't want to work on the things that will take you out of your comfort zone, perhaps. I go into, those, anytime you have those feelings of fear or guilt or shame, that you're in lack, that your little inner critic is chirping in your ear. Or the what if thinking, the worst case scenario thinking. Those are all times that we can tell, ooh, I'm kind of in lack right now. What can I do about it? Those are the times to get curious. I mean, again, we can go back to choose. We can choose. We can choose, however, we can choose to play the victim. We can choose to stay in that state, or we can choose to go, oh, I'm curious why that's coming up, process that energy, and then choose what we want to feel. Maybe we want to feel peace. We want to feel calm. Whatever it is we want to feel, we can choose to shift that energetic vibration and move in the direction that we want to. And that will just help make law of attraction work for us more quickly too.
I love that. I love the curiosity, because when you spoke that, I could feel it in my body, because I believe that a lot of us And listen, we're all human. I've been on this path for 30 years. She's a law of attraction master coach. And it doesn't matter. We're human. We're going to have those moments, right? I still do. But when you said curiosity, what I love about that is I think a lot of us, when we catch ourselves having one of those thoughts, the inner critic brings us right into self-judgment. There you go again, Linda. You know better. But so I love when you said the word curiosity, there was this beautiful energy of what if we could be more curious about those negative thoughts coming up instead of judgmental? Because do you find with yourself and your clients, when you get into that energy, which again is part of the human journey, that self-judgment comes up, which really keeps us stuck in what is instead of possibility, right? So is that something you see a lot too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the point I always try to make is, society tries to make us feel wrong about our emotions and about our feelings and about certain things and self-judgments. It's not wrong. It's just a feeling. It's your body saying, hey, this is where you're at in this moment. Be aware, ding, 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 just be aware of it. And it's not bad or wrong or indifferent. It's just information from your body. So if you're in that place where you're not feeling good, get curious and think about, okay, where's this coming from? Why is this coming up for me now? I thought I had already processed this or whatever it is. Get curious about it, let it process. And just look at it as it's just information. It's nothing to judge. You're not bad. You're not evil. You're not whatever the label might be. It's just information for you to know that, oh, something's going on. Something's going on that I need to fix. And it could be that little inner child. It could be that little inner child just vying for your attention, your little 6-year-old self. Or a lot of times I think about when I start having those thoughts, and it's a constant thing. It's something that you'll always have to work on, but we can certainly soothe that inner critic and just notice it and give it acknowledgement. And sometimes I'll think of mine as a little puppy and just say, Charlie, I got this, go lay down, I'm all good, kind of thing. Or you bring that child along for the ride and just say, okay, I know this is how you felt in the past and you're trying to keep me safe, but here's I've got this, here's the direction we're going now, and kind of soothe that inner child along, bring them along your journey. And that really helps to quiet some of those things, quiet those judgments so that you can start hearing your intuition and your inner wisdom.
And that's what's so powerful, because we all have access to our inner wisdom, intuition, soul whispers. And I know I'll speak for myself. Way back then, I used to go, oh, that's for other people. I'm not intuitive. I didn't understand that whole concept 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now if you ask me, I'm highly intuitive, but it was something I honed within myself, right? So this awareness, this curiosity, I think is also a way to learn how to decipher what voice is speaking, the voice of the inner critic or the voice of, I call them like soul whispers or intuition, inner wisdom. It's almost like fine tuning the radio, right? Like, oh, what station do I want? Do I want this wah, 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 wah? Or do I want this voice that like is expansive instead of constrictive? So I love this curiosity. I love about being aware and non-judgment. I think that is also empowering to me, because it puts the power back in our hands. Because judgment, ladies, no matter what it is, whether it's to do with the law of attraction or not, self-judgment is a shame-based energy that keeps you exactly where you're trying to move through. And Karen and I have had this conversation before, like the things we say to ourselves, we would never say to a child or someone else. We'd never go, what kind of thought are you having right now? We wouldn't do that. But isn't it funny that we do it to ourselves, Karen?
We do. We're our own worst critics sometimes. And we just need to learn that and be aware when that starts to happen. I start not to feel good, or I hear that little voice in my head. It's like, wait a minute, Charlie, I call mine Restless Rita, because I can get really restless. And I'm like, okay, Restless Rita, but it's also interesting to think about it in this way. And maybe it makes it a little easier to remember that not only is that the voice that will kind of keep you stuck and say, let's say you're trying to release weight, it's the one that says, oh, you can't lose weight and you can't, get thinner or whatever it is. But it's also the one when you lose 5 pounds, it says, oh, you deserve it. You deserve to have a chocolate because you just lost 5 pounds. So understand that it's the same voice. And what it's trying to do is pull you back in and keep you what it thinks is safe, but what in truth is comfortably stuck. So it's hard to get out of that. That's why you have to learn how to work with the energies and how to soothe that inner critic, restless Rita or nervous Nelly or Charlie, whoever that is for you.
And I think it's so important that a lot of your work starts right there, right? Helping women even understand that they have unconscious scripts, beliefs, and patterns that are being run by the inner critic sitting in the background, like, oh, baby, I don't want you leaving your comfort zone. You stay right here.
Absolutely.
Because when they can identify that inner talk, that's their PowerPoint. That's when they get to choose, because now they're aware, do I want to stay with that line of thinking or not? And I do want to say something. With the law of attraction, I used to have this deep fear. So if anyone listening has this deep fear too, I used to think, oh my God, I'm going to manifest that, because I had the thought, like a low vibration thought. It takes time. So it isn't like if you think, oh my God, I have this severe illness, and then you go, oh my God, I don't want to think that anymore. It isn't like you're going to attract it in that second. It's repetition. Energy builds. Energy goes out like a magnet. So I want to say something. When you work with someone like Karen and use these principles and all that and have a guide to support you, it's going to help you identify your inner critic is running the show. It's going to help you make a new choice. And that is when you come into alignment with the law of attraction. So I want to say, it isn't like if you have a thought that's going to happen tomorrow, but your energy in staying focused on that thought builds up an energy in the energy field. Is that how you feel too, Karen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really easy to get stuck in our money stories, in our fear and worry about things. And sometimes it's hard to set that aside. I know I was a worrier. I'm a recovering worrier.
Me too.
So, sometimes it's really hard to get out of that energy. But when you realize that, oh, here's the negative self-talk again, if you can even just shift to say, you know what, things always work out fine. Things always work out well. Even if you can't pinpoint what it is that you want in that moment, instead of staying stuck in that lower level energy, at least start with, you know what, it'll be fine. Things will work out just fine. The mortgage will get paid. It always has. Whatever that is for you, just try to gravitate towards that, and it'll automatically make you feel a little bit better than you did a few seconds before.
Yeah, I love that, because I'm, in the conversations I've had with myself as well as friends over the years, you have that scale of emotions that we all are pretty aware of from the law of attraction and just from the truth of our emotions, right? I used to think, oh my God, if I'm way down here, and I was a warrior, I'm a recovering warrior, but I also had severe anxiety and depression for 35 years. So I judged myself when I first learned about the law of attraction way back when, that, oh my God, I can't get from here to way up here in those good energies. But I love what you just said. Just have to go up a little. Just have to go up a little. We don't have to go from here to there. It might not, I'm not saying that's not possible, but sometimes it feels tough to do that. So instead of judging ourselves, we can just get to the next best thought. And I love what you said about, like, it was almost like a mantra or an affirmation of everything always works out. Mine is, I'm always divinely supported, even when I can't see the next step.
Absolutely.
Because it helps me let go of control, because when we're in fear and when that little inner critic, doesn't it feel like she's holding the wheel so tightly and driving the car that you can't even jump out?
Right.
So I think it's so important to have just little tips like that you shared, a mantra that you can say when you're stuck and can't see the next step.
Absolutely. It's rare that you're going to go from a depression to complete bliss and joy, but just moving up a little bit at a time, you'll get just these little relief, and then you celebrate that little success of that pivot, and then reach for the next, the next level, and up and up. It is a process. And then you'll get up here, and then you'll slam back here. And it's
Yeah.
just part of life, but once you're aware, you can't become unaware. And so once you
I love
learn
that.
about this stuff, it really makes you aware of how you choose to go through your days, and how you choose to react to things. And what you'll find is over time, things start to kind of bounce off you. Those negative energies of other people, things just bounce off you, and you learn how to deal with those situations, and things don't upset you as much. Little things that used to are like, it's really not,
True,
not
though.
big.
It's true, and it goes back to that radio analogy. If our patterns, which are just things we picked up over our lifetime,
Mhm.
it's like when you buy a car, it comes tuned into a certain radio station, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you don't want that radio station, you don't want to hear whatever's coming through, then you have the opportunity to change the station. When you do the inner critic work, and I know you do this with your clients, it's let's choose a new station. So when we feel those thoughts come in, we get to choose, well, maybe I'll go for a walk right now. Maybe I'll pick up and read a chapter of a spiritual or personal development book, like having tools for those moments. Because if anyone tells you they don't still have those moments, and the inner critic, I mean, like I said, I've been doing this 30 years, you've been doing this a long time. Karen and I have conversations. we still go, girl, look what's coming up today. That's I don't care how long you've been doing law of attraction. Acknowledge that that's okay. That the thing you want to learn is what Karen's talking about today, is that moment you know you're there, make a new choice.
Absolutely.
Make a new choice. But I just wanted to be upfront. It still comes up, ladies, all these years later. And I'm so grateful to have Karen in my life to be able to bounce stuff off and go, hey, girl, what's up? Because this is her expertise. This is what she does. This is how she navigates her life, this journey called life. This is why she is so passionate about helping women. I've witnessed it in action in her own life. And I'm just so happy that you're here today. So thank you for this conversation, and we're gonna keep going. So we kind of really discussed this already, but I want to see if you have any additional insights about how the untamed inner critic sabotages what you desire to attract. So let's say I have a goal, and I don't usually like that word goal because it sounds so linear, masculine.
Mhm.
A desire for your life, a vision for your life. We might be in that moment, right? Of, wow, this is what I want. And we're in that visioning, and I know all of you have gone through this. And then we got it all mapped out in the vision. And then when it comes time to take an inspired action, the little bugger comes up. How does that untamed inner critic, if you could share some of the ways it will rise up when it's time to take inspired action? And that's where we get stuck, I think.
Yeah. Well, what'll happen is, remember when you get that inspired little intuitional hit, remember first that you wouldn't get that inspiration if it wasn't already inside of you. Your source wouldn't give it to you. So when that comes up, hopefully that empowers your thought process there with knowing it's the right thing, knowing it's the next best thing on your path. So you want to keep that in your vision. But that little inner critic's going to say, oh, well, you can't do that. And who are you to do that? And you're not smart enough, or you're not whatever. It doesn't matter. It'll start attacking that because it doesn't want to see change. So just recognize that aspect of the inner critic, because its job is to try to keep you comfortably stuck and not in forward movement. Your intuition is, and your your intuition and your inner wisdom are trying to point you on your right path, the one that you're destined to do. And when that inspired action comes up, it's a high level frequency of energy. And if you don't take inspired action, you've probably had this happen to you in the past, where maybe you get a book idea, or maybe you get an idea to do something and you're really excited about it, but you don't do anything. Well, after a couple, 2-3 days, have you ever noticed that energy is just kind of fizzled away? So that's why it's really important to take those inspired actions and kind of quiet down that inner critic. So the inner critic, he or she, that little voice, it doesn't feel good. It tries to keep you stuck. Realize that it keeps you focused on what you don't want instead of what you do. And it just slows down that law of attraction process. It slows down your manifesting what you do want into your life. So I think it really comes to recognize those things, recognize that it's not for your best good, and then go through is this my truth? Is this what I want to do? Get curious, ask those questions of yourself. And if the answer is no, then follow that inspired action and make that little inner critic go lay down.
Oh, I love what you said about that if you have that idea, that thought, like, hey, I want to really take a paint class. I want to start a business. It doesn't matter what it is. We all have this thing in us. I love that you said that it's from your source and it's always meant to create, because I believe that with my whole soul. I believe we are never given an idea or vision that we cannot bring to fruition. It's like the divine helped us uncover it within us. And it says, here, I'm helping you see, and here's the seed. Now, as a human, it's your job to water it, nurture it, plant it, and watch it grow. And I loved how you described that the moment that your inner critic said, oh, she just planted a seed. I am going to go sabotage this garden and I'm going to pluck that seed out. That's its role. So I love that you said that, because that's how it's resonated with me and my truth. That's what it feels like in my body. That when I get these inspired ideas, it's, if we don't do it, if you don't do it, Kim, and if the lady listening here today, the ladies listening today that has a dream in her heart, then there is going to be a part of the world that will never be served by that conscious creation. You were given that vision. Kevin and I really believe that. We've had these deep personal conversations. We believe that you were given that seed because the world needs it from you, not from someone else. Mm-hmm. So Kevin, you deeply believe that too.
Absolutely. And understand too, that you don't have to know the how. You don't have to know all the steps. Just take one little step. So if your dream is to build a house, make a little house plan out on a napkin. Take one little tiny step. And then the next day, take another step, whatever that next logical step would be. You don't have to worry about, well, how am I going to finance the house? And what am I going to build the house? And what color is it going to be?
That's fear and ego, isn't it? When we have to
right.
define everything that comes, and how I've always navigated that in my mind, because I'm visual, is wait a minute, I will get in a car and drive through a downpour in deep fog and not be able to see the corner ahead in the fog, but I keep driving. So why can't I keep moving forward in life even when I can't see the next step or what's next? That was a big moment for me. So I'm so glad that you shared that. As it just takes do the one next thing.
Right.
One next thing. And it gives us all permission just to lean in. So I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. I'm feeling inspired now. I always love being in your energy anyway. So I want to say thank you. I'm going to share a sacred offering that Karen has for you. I get on over there and get it. So right next to the video, as you already know, hit the claim your free gift button. And you're going to receive 3 ways to soothe your inner critic so you can hear your inner wisdom. It's an e-guide. And it's all about making the second half of your life the best half of your life. Karen's really passionate about working with midlife women like me to really consciously create the next chapter of their life. Because sometimes we wake up in the middle of our life and go, oh, shit, how did I get here, right? And we're like, we just know we want internal change. So in this transformational e-guide, you're going to learn 3 ways to soothe your inner critic so that you can hear your intuition. And so you can consciously create your life instead of creating it by default, because believe it or not, you are. And that was a big wake-up call for me to realize that I wasn't consciously in my own life. So along with the 3 simple yet powerful strategies, she shares this powerful 2-part journaling process that will really help you get down into the muck so that you can start clearing all of that and create the joy-filled, aligned life you desire. So again, click the Claim Your Free Gift button. Stay connected with Karen's community. She also has a powerful free Facebook group that you will learn about once you get her e-guide. And she has some other juicy stuff. So I am so happy that you joined me today, Karen. It's such an inspiring conversation. I think we all need to hear, because I got some pieces and insights that I needed those reminders too. So thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was very fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. Blessings, everyone.